Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. I am continuing my prep for the NYSE Open, which will have happened last weekend, but I record in advance, obviously. Dimir Lurrus is my fallback for this tournament. Oath is my heart's pick. I don't know that I'm going to get Oath where I want it. I also expect this metagame to be super combo heavy. There's kind of a weird effect happening for the NYSE Open for me personally, where I expect 80 to 100 people to show up to this event, and I am coaching 5 of the competitors, I think, and they are all traveling with other people, or they're working on their deck with other people. And if I know directly from just my contacts and my coaching and talking through decks with people that 8 of these 80 people who show up are going to be on hyper fast combo decks like Jewel or Breach, or Breach isn't that fast necessarily, but dedicated combo decks. There's some non-Lurrus Tinker decks, just the full send stuff, some people into Doomsday. If I just know 8 to 10 people who are playing decks like that, that's over 10% of the field that I expect to show up. And me picking Oath of Druids, which is soft to all of those decks, when I know that they're all going to be there, plus all the unknowns of who else would select a deck like that, because those are all popular and powerful decks. I have to approach that very differently than I would an Eternal Weekend, which might get 400 people who I don't know at all, which is skewing me back in the direction of Lurrus control. I have done some practice leagues with Dimir, which I believe have been released. I mean, I'm talking to you from the past, so I don't know what order I'm going to do all this in, but presumably I'll release the Dimir Lurrus league I already played before this Esper one. And the reason I'm exploring Esper is my girl Lavinia. All those decks I just said, all those reasons I wouldn't play Oath, Lavinia comes in from the top rope and crushes those decks. I've also been kind of getting farmed online by Dredge lately, which I've been goofing around in some other spaces. I've been trying to see how much Dredge hate I can get away from cutting, and I don't expect Dredge to be big at NYSE, but this deck is very good against Dredge. You have 5 Wastelands and a Nile Spellbomb in the main and a Vexing Bauble. Then you bring in 3 Containment Priests, a Pithing Needle, another Spellbomb, and a Tabernacle. I made top 4 of Eternal Weekend 2 years ago with Esper Lurrus, and I beat Dredge game 1 in the top 8. Like, that shit feels good. The one thing I'm really thinking about is, does this deck want Flow State? I think there's a genuine possibility that Flow State is just a better card than Treasure Cruise at this point. But there are only 7 sorceries in this deck, and one of them is the Treasure Cruise itself, which if I replace with Flow State, then I only have 6 ways to turn it on. I thought about doing stuff like cut the 1 Mystical Dispute for a Thoughtseize that gets me +1 sorcery while keeping my interaction package largely the same, like the slot is doing the same thing in that world. But then I decided to just run it as is, and I can decide how Treasure Cruise and Dig Through Time feel afterwards. Like, should these cards just be Flow State? Do I need an 8th or 9th sorcery to support the Flow State? All just stuff on the fringes, and those are the types of decisions I'm trying to think about 3 days before I leave for an event. That's the kind of thing I'm keeping an eye on. How good is Lavinia? When I draw Dig Through Time or Treasure Cruise, do I wish they were Flow State? Other than that, Esper Lurrus, we know what this is. Let's do it. I'm on the draw in round 1. I have revealed my Lurrus to my opponent who has not revealed a Lurrus. I like my hand. I've got Force of Will if they like spells. I've got Wasteland if they like Bazaar of Baghdad. And I have the ability to move some cards around. Here's this Treasure Cruise. Immediately, eyes on that compared to a Flow State, where if I Force of Will something and then cast Bond or Flow State would be on just like that, even with only 7 sorceries in the deck. Opponent has Multifor. Bazaar of Baghdad, confirmed. Hollow 1, Force of Will that for sure. I'm not in a position to answer that right now. Also, I'm noticing that my mouse, where I have the hotkeys for MTGO bound, is not working. So I'm clicking buttons like a forest animal right now. I'll have to resolve that between rounds. Not that that affects you in any way, but if you hear extra clicking you wouldn't normally hear, or if I seem frustrated by something, that's what's going on. Okay, I'm going to shuffle these 3 lands away. I do need to put something on the board. They have found an Icarid. They're down to just one Golgari Thug for dredging. So this is a big dredge right now. If they don't come up with another one. Okay, they're actually out of dredgers. However, Creeping Chill will return the Silver Smoke Ghoul. They're out of dredgers and they're out of black creatures, or black cards. It's creatures, right? Black creatures for Icarid. So, like, this is it. I have to stabilize versus a 3-1, which at this moment I'm not doing. I don't have a Surveil land in this build. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I mean, Flow State would be incredible right now, where this Treasure Cruise is not castable. Opponent's taking actual draws over there. That's a little scary because if they just draw a Bazaar, they're back in it. I know it's just 3 cards in their deck, but they are in there. This fetch actually takes a turn off the clock, but I think I need to dump fetches into the graveyard in order to get Treasure Cruise online, and I think I'm good to go here. Orcish Bowmaster, Psychic Frog, any of my removal spells, these all play, and here I am, stabilizing the board. I could counter a Force of Will if they've drawn one of those. They had 1 card left over from their opening Keep and Bazaar activation, and then they've drawn now 2 cards from the top of the deck, as far as things I have to think about go. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I will fire off this Treasure Cruise. I'm just deciding how I want to do it. I guess I leave a black up, and I will play the island. Like, I could have saved my land drop. All right, just filling up here, and push that damage. Oh, I gave them a black creature. They could chip shot me with that grid here. That was a bad attack. The Orc army should have stayed back. That's actually really embarrassing. If I lose to this 3 damage, I deserve everything that happens to me. Completely avoidable. Another Wasteland. Put Lurrus in the grip. This time I have another Bowmaster, so it's fine. They don't have a black creature, but if they somehow come up with one, I can Bowmaster the Icarid. Maybe I'm actually just supposed to main phase the Bowmaster and push the extra point of damage, because we're just in a race at this point. Opponent gets to start discarding to hand size next turn, which unlocks dredging. Bowmaster, put you to 18. Psychic Frog, let's go. Right, Lurrus on the stack. Resolves. Psychic Frog in. As soon as this Lurrus gains a little bit of life, I'm going to feel like I can't lose. If they have to spend this whole turn drawing a card and then discarding a card, and then next turn they can start slow dredging again, I think I'm around the corner. Discarded Grave Troll. That's a funny one to have drawn after all this other stuff happened. Okay, what do I send with? What do I leave back? What can I afford to discard to Psychic Frog to push damage? I have 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage on the board. So the clock's the same no matter how many cards I discard to Psychic Frog. I can only get to 13 damage if I was willing to dump my hand, which I'm also not actually willing to do. But who can I leave back without changing the clock? 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I'm going to attack with Orc Army, Lurrus, and Psychic Frog. And I'm going to discard Flooded Strand. Because I left some stuff back, I do want to make sure I'm pushing and clocking here. Dig Through Time. This is about the same as Flow State here. Nile Spellbomb is a card I could find. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'd have to tap out or discard to get Dig on the stack. I think I'm just going to let them dredge 6. And, like, Icarid resolves before this dredge happens. They'd have to hit 3 Creeping Chills to beat me here. And I think, were there even that many left? There were. So even that out was avoidable if I had played correctly earlier. Okay, end step, I will Dig Through Time. And I will force a negation if they fight over this. Okay, that also means they can't discard now because their hand size is wrong. I am forcing back. That force, pitch to force. We've got Swords to Plowshares. That should make me unraceable. And Demonic Tutor for Nile Spellbomb, and then Swords to Plowshares in the bank. Okay, this one feels good. Okay, Lurrus definitely attacking. Can I win? So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This Narcomoeba does. So if I had pushed a little harder last turn, what if I plow? That wins, right? You go to 10, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then I just discard 1 card. And I have force back up. Okay. I'll just try to win the game. Discard Psychic Frog, which I could replay anyway. 10 damage. Okay. One pretty awkward interaction that game. The the attack that let the Ichorid through for no reason. But we won game 1 versus Dredge, which is one of the things I specifically called out in the deck tech as being pretty dope. Force of Negation, not very good. Mystical Dispute, not very good. Lavinia is solid. Maybe that's not even true. Lavinia does stop them from casting any of the spells they have because their deck doesn't have mana. But the spells they cast normally happen on turn 1, like the Grief, Hollow One, that sort of stuff. And after that, they're just dredging. Mental Misstep doesn't do anything. I could see some number of Spell Pierce coming out. You will win every fight with a Spell Pierce because they don't have mana, like I said. But Consign to Memory can counter Hollow One straight up, as well as Grief triggers, Narcomoeba triggers, Ichorid triggers. Your deck's got a lot of triggers. I think I believe in Consign more than I believe in Spell Pierce as a tool here. All right, I'm in. My hand does not specifically line up with what Dredge wants to do, which means I'm probably going to mulligan it. I have so many ways in my deck to fight Dredge. They've powdered 2 hands and then kept 7. What's out here? I mean, they still have 7 cards with a Bazaar, but there's a Chill, a Force, a Grief. Right, I'm mulliganing. Okay, this is multiple good cards against Dredge. I'm going to keep and bottom. It's got to be Treasure Cruise. Though Treasure Cruise is the reload. I think I need both Wastelands in case there are 2 Bazaars. All right, yeah, Treasure Cruise is out of here. Bazaar. Ooh, no Dredgers discarded. That's really interesting. Now I have a decision to make. Do I want to invest Vexing Bauble? Or do I want to just jam this Bazaar in a spot where their graveyard doesn't function? I think I have to jam the Bazaar. Like, you have to think about what these other 5 cards are. They didn't discard a Dredger. What cards are in their deck? Like, more Bazaars. They didn't grief me. Yeah, more Bazaars. Checks out as an answer. Discarded Stinkweed Imp that time, so there is a Dredger now. Spell Pierce. I think I'm committed to this plan at this point. Stinkweed Imp. 1 Dredge to rule them all. Hit Narcomoeba, who will trigger 2 Prized Amalgams. Brutal. They milled over a 3rd Bazaar, though. Running out of those. Oh my god, yeah, all 4 Bazaars. Story checks out. I, too, would keep that hand. And the fun thing about them powdering twice is their deck is just smaller, so the chances that they have any of the things I'm worried about that's not in exile is actually higher. Okay, they did not send it. Do I invest Vexing Bauble here? I think I do. Because the cards that they could still have, like not tapping Bazaar, tells me that Force of Will is over there. Like, what are you trying to keep in your hand if you're not trying to dredge my face off? And the answer is usually having 2 things with which to pitch to a force of some variety. Now they're free to dredge my face off, though. Reaping Chill, Ichorid. At 17 to 22, 1 Ichorid's going to trigger here. Or you could Bazaar in response and more things might happen. All right, just took the Ichorid. And dredge Stinkweed Imp. Okay, so Tabernacle is a nice one to find here. Might be one of a small number of outs. There's another Ichorid in the graveyard now. Psychic Frog, that doesn't get me there. I could play my land to protect Ancestral from interaction. I just need my land to be Tabernacle, I think. And I might still lose if I do find it. Okay, Black Lotus was one of the cards that could open up some options. Unfortunately, Psychic Frog doesn't have Flash. Yeah, if I could consign 2 Ichorid triggers and play Psychic Frog this turn, that might work, but a little too far behind. Dredge on 7, quite good. I think my plan is still my plan. I just need them to have a slightly worse opening hand. Okay, my opening hand is very good. I'll keep. So Wasteland covers Bazaar, Vexing Bauble covers Grief and Hollow One, and any sort of counterplay. Swords to Plowshares covers Ichorid. Tabernacle covers every other threat they play. Taxian Probe, see what I have to navigate here. Oh, just a bunch of nothing. A Bazaar and some stuff. I love seeing Bazaar and some stuff. Mock Sapphire, Vexing Bauble, and I can get this Delta in now. Maybe the Tabernacle's better. Now, with the way this hand looks, the Tabernacle can come in as a surprise later. Discarded the 3 cards I knew about. Containment Priest, get out of here. Right, waste the Bazaar. and they can't fight over the priest. Force of Will doesn't work. Sickening Shoal doesn't work. I wonder if they'll just straight up concede to this. But I'm going to play it out and start applying pressure. Psychic Frog. Okay, Brainstorm for a black source. We got one. Moxjet doesn't work anymore. Do I need 2 Containment Priests this game? I don't think so, not with Vexing Bauble around. They can't remove the one that I have. What am I worried about? Okay. I genuinely don't know what they could do here. I'm at more than 12 life, so Creeping Chill can't finish me out. Icarus doesn't work. They don't have a Bazaar. They can't cast any spells. Awesome. All right, cool. Took a match against Dredge. Dredge has been beating me up on all my different decks, all my different builds lately, so feels good to take that one. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. Okay, a few updates, folks. This is round 3. Round 2, I played about 3 turns of a Lurrus mirror, and then my power went out. And I normally have a backup power source running to my computer, which catches, and I can at least say, like, oh, it seems my power's gone out. I'll end the match here and see if it comes back in time. Well, that didn't happen, so I've completely lost the footage. It's all gone. Nothing to do about it. The good news is, though, the silver lining is that my mouse problem, the Logitech G Hub that wasn't functioning after restarting my computer, is now suddenly functioning. Which also makes me wonder, some amount of my microphone settings run through Logitech as well. So let me know if I sounded different in the previous round, in addition to my mouse being working, or not working. I wonder what the difference is between all those things, or how they're all connected. The opponent's got a Thunder Trap Trainer on the stack. Yeah, unfortunately, this hand, I think, is good enough to keep on its own merits. But if this was Underground Sea, things would be a lot better. The 3-color mana base kicking in here. Stock up to the hand. All right, that doesn't solve my problem. It does let me hardcast Force of Negation. An opponent has probed me. Like, they know what's going on over here. This appears to be Esper PO, which is its own entire archetype. Non-Lurrus. Another black card. And I am in the spot, though, that the Dimir and Esper Lurrus decks are quite good at, which is I'm not really under pressure. Okay, that's annoying. If I Force some Negation this, they can resolve their spell or their stock up this turn. What if I let this resolve? I can hardcast Force of Negation. I can hardcast Spell Pierce. The Force of Wills become basically blank, though, at that point. Would I Force of Will the stock up? I could Force of Will pitching Force of Will on this Vexing Bauble. All right, I'm going to do that. That was a pretty annoying draw, though. Under Trap Trainer, in again. Taxian Probe, all right. Send one right back your way. Oh, Wasteland. Okay, there's a balance over there. Played around it, I guess. Do I waste this white source, or do I shove Lurrus into my hand with Spell Pierce still up? They're about to stock up through the Spell Pierce, so I guess I should waste the white. My least favorite card to play against. A Demonic Tutor. Can't let them have that, right? They get to resolve stock up here, unless I pitch the frog. All right. I can't let you Demonic Tutor. This gets your stock up going. Try to play around it. The 3-color deck. Ruining my days here. Moxjet. Okay. Well, I can get this Psychic Frog involved in the game now. Do I think that's better than Orcish Bowmaster? I think it is better at hiding what's going on than Orcish Bowmaster is. Like, if I have access to Psychic Frog and they know Frog's in my hand and I don't cast it, that's just so suspicious. And Frog is the card I'd rather have in play, too. Brainstorm, good chance that just got rid of the balance. Ancestral Recall. Annoying, but okay. Black Lotus. Yeah, I'm just going to die with the Spell Pierce in my hand. It would still be good if Academy wasn't Academy, if that was just a land they had to play. Yeah, like, all right. Okay. That's going to resolve. It can bounce my Frog. Bowmaster can kill Teferi. Presuming I even get a turn, my opponent has 5 cards in hand, and now all their stuff's going to resolve. BO for 3. Not interested in picking up the Teferi. All right, I'm good. I'm good. Seen enough. Yeah, that was just, my hand didn't have black. Their hand couldn't get a payoff through my 4 counter spells, and it was who drew better after that. The initial, we both know what we're playing around, who's got what, and they drew Vexing Bauble into Tellurian Academy, and I did not. Okay, we are some sort of big, dopey combo deck. Seal of Cleansing, Stony Silence. I like these cards. I don't think I like Nile Spell, or I don't think I like Consigned Memory. I do like Annul. I think Needle could name something like Time Vault. I don't think that's how I play this match. A bunch of these Swords to Plowshares can go out. There's a non-zero number of creatures in the deck. So do I think they're 4-color for Flame of Anor, or do I think Thundertrap Trainer is in the deck just for the Mana Sink NPO synergy? I suspect they're probably 4-color. Nile Spellbomb doesn't do the most in a matchup like this. It is an object I can cantrip with off of Lurrus, and in case there is Yawgmoth's Will in their pile, that's a little something. Okay, I will make these changes and run it like this. Okay, a turn 1 Vexing Bauble into Psychic Frog. Yeah, I guess I'm in. A Tundra Bauble, or Lotus. Tundra Lotus. Sack for black, play Bauble. If they force this, I will dispute to have the Bauble down, and I'll just cast Psychic Frog next turn. Okay. None of the above is their answer. Frog. And cycle Lorien for Underground Sea. Pass. Yeah, Swords to Plowshares or Portable Hole here is pretty annoying. Okay, everyone's bobbling. We'll see who this favors. I certainly have fewer zeros in my deck than they do. I probably should have attacked first in case I draw Wasteland. That was a little bit messy. And I also have Ponder. Like, I have a lot of looks at Wasteland here that I just didn't bother to take. Ponder. There is, in fact, Wasteland and Urza Saga. This is more lands than I actually want, but I do like the rollout here. Time Walk's fine. This Mystical Dispute, kind of my ace in the hole. I mean, I have Spell Pierce, and if Flusterstorm's a card that exists, there's plenty of reasons for them to think their cards might not resolve. All right, the Frog has been removed. Mana Vault. Uh-oh, they're getting out from under it. Yeah, that Wasteland would have done a lot if I had just sequenced my cards correctly. Okay, I'll switch to the Urza Saga then. This is now something they have to either play into or interact with somehow, and now Hardcast Force Negation is live. Otawara, Key, and it's a lot of mana with Mana Vault, but I have to be stingy with my counterspells here. Okay, 1 card left in your hand. Please don't be Flusterstorm. Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. Why would the last card in their hand be anything other than exactly that fucking card? All right, so you draw 4. I briefly get my Psychic Frog back, but it's not going to be there for long. And I guess reasonable people could argue that Mystical Disputing the Time Walk gives me a full turn of Psychic Frog plus Wasteland, and maybe I just didn't respect their non-blue cards enough. I think I had the tools to win this game. Like, if I play to drawing Wasteland on turn 2 before I just run out the Underground Sea, this game is different. If I Mystical Dispute the Time Walk, this game is different. Yeah, they just tutored a second Portable Hole. Right, your Bauble's back. Tezzeret is in play and online. I'm going to waste the white. They just tutored a Portable Hole. They're trying to clear my Vexing Bauble from play. I don't want that to happen. It's happening anyway. Manifold Key, we knew about that one. Tutoring with Tez again. Sensei's top. Untapping Mana Vault. Portable Hole is back. I think having the construct is more important than drawing a card there. Gotta pressure Tez somehow. There's top. Spinning the top, still 3 cards in their hand. Flipping the top, they're not done yet, team. Pithing Needle, come on. All right, I'll make a construct. But now I'm going to be several damage short of killing this Tez. There's a Saga named. Dig Through Time, not the worst card I could find. I think I just want Sapphire here. Grab that one. I'm going to exile the Lotus, leaving a colorless floating. I think I have ways to use colorless. That's not them. Psychic Frog's going to have to be part of this game at some point. And Spell Pierce is pretty far behind right now. All right, I'll attack Tez, I guess. All right, Spell Pierce and Mystical Dispute, but they can untap Mana Vault 2 times in a turn. It's going to be hard to do this. I don't think I want you to just have whatever spell you want from your deck. It's a pretty safe bet. Sensei's top brings Tez back up to 3 loyalty. Spinning the top. Land, that can fetch to see 3 fresh Huns with top. And that's what it'll do. Flipping the top. Alright, please ram Tinker into this Mystical Dispute. They have a Tez activation, which could untap Mana Vault before they play their next spell. But if they're trying to Tinker for Time Vault, they need that Tez activation. Alright, not playing. Yogg will. Alright. Well, yeah, that resolves. Just go straight for Paradoxical Outcome. Get cooked. Time Walk. That Flusterstorm can be cast out of the graveyard. Yeah, whatever. Time Walk happens. I'm so dead here. The Lurrus control deck's job is to have and maintain control and not let the combo decks get to the spot where they're doing everything they want to do. And my opponent just put Demonic Tutor on top of their deck, and DT for Time Walk will win the game, or Time Vault will win the game, and Dispute can't do it. So I should not have played my land on turn 2, and once I did commit to that line, I should have countered the Time Walk, because that's another turn of Frog, that's development. A lot of mistakes in one turn cycle in that game. On to the next round. I'm excited to be a special guest for the Excalibur Events Niagara Falls weekend, September 25th through 27th, 2026. This event features the pre-modern scaling 25K with $10,000 guaranteed and $5,000 added to the prize pool at 275, 350, and 450 players for a total of $25,000. Gold Border and Collector's Edition cards are legal in this tournament, and you can use up to 10 playtest cards to fill out your deck. Be sure to check the FAQ on the Excalibur website to follow their playtest card policy. This has a chance of being the biggest pre-modern event ever. Sign up now and use code BOSH for $5 off entry. I hope I'll see you there. I am on the play in round 4 against Harvey Dent. This is one of my dudes who I know is playing Oath at NYSE. It's his list that I've been working off of with some of my practice Oath leagues that are coming out on the channel in the future. I've played Oath twice. I've recorded with it twice so far. The Vexing Bauble can slow down a lot of stuff. Like turn 1 Lavinia is nice, but I think this is better. Though Lavinia is the same as Vexing Bauble, except it only hurts my opponent. All right, I'm going to play Lavinia. Lavinia does turn on Oath. That's something that I have to be cognizant of. A force pitching stock up. Okay. That means that the Oath is probably not locked and loaded. How many Moxen are going to resolve in the meantime? Interesting. Okay. So Oath is locked and loaded. He just couldn't afford for me to have a creature. Okay. Or, yeah. All right. So a multi-Mox hand makes some sense. And now we see the power of Oath of Druids fully kicking in. What do I do? Do I have any way to beat this in my deck? I don't think I actually do. Like, I don't have a Time Twister. If I cast Psychic Frog, I don't have a Portable Hole, a Prismatic Ending. I just needed that Oath to really not be in play, but there it is. I guess what I have to do is just turtle the game up to the point where I have a bunch of pressure and a Time Walk. My opponent is down to 1 card in hand, and it doesn't appear to be Forbidden Orchard, because that would have been in play already. Strip Mine. Right? I mean, now that I have 2 of these, I can be a little more aggressive with this one. Float a blue, change phases, and I don't think I need to be deploying this Urza Saga yet. I can't afford to make constructs. Island. So I have to make the 2 constructs and play out Psychic Frog all on a turn where I also Time Walk. Underground Sea. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One short of playing Dig Through Time. Boo. Yeah, that unlocks stuff like Flusterstorm, which I didn't have to worry about a second ago. Saga. I think I want to play Dig Through Time this turn, rather than play out this Nile Spellbomb. Okay, that's countered. Did we forget, or are we building Storm for some reason? I know it's been a long time since Vexing Bauble came into play. Hope you needed that mana. Okay, I mean, that is awkwardly a Storm for Flusterstorm, but that would counter Dig Through Time anyway. I'm digging. Yeah, there's the fetch. Flusterstorm confirmed. Force of Will in my hand. I guess I'll play out Nile Spellbomb here. What even is the play? Because Ursa Saga's ticking up now. I don't have a Swords to Plowshares either. Like, if I could get through one Atraxa, maybe that's something. Stock up. Don't love it. Okay. I think I have to just give up on making constructs here. Mox Sapphire. Not helping. I'll get Mox Jet. And I could just cantrip off of the Nile Spellbomb, but also my opponent's deck is going to have Gaia's Blessing in it. I think I should take out this Underground Sea. If you can't stock up and do that sort of stuff, that's good news for me. Mystical Dispute. I think I might actually Spellbomb this turn. I could Lurrus to get it back if I need to, but I'd really just like some cards. Bomb you. Draw a card. Tundra. Flooded Strand. Do I know the order of any cards? I did put 5 on the bottom, and none of them were Time Walk, so I'm not going to fetch. Okay, nothing. Psychic Frog. Play out Flooded Strand. And I'm not going to fetch for the reasons described before. Swords of Plowshares. Okay, now I can bully one Atraxa. My opponent gets a grip of cards. So if I go Frog, Frog, I think I can wait and do this later. It's not quite enough. This is insulation as well. This gives me something I can do if my opponent finds Forbidden Orchard. Wasteland. Like, if my opponent draws an Orchard and Oath is going to happen anyway, then I'm just forced to deploy, like, Frog, Lurrus, plow the Atraxa, a second Oath. That makes plowing Atraxa basically pointless. Now it has to be Time Walk. I guess I should have countered that with Mystical Dispute. Busy talking instead of playing the game right. Discarded Bolus's Citadel. I'm going to discard Mox Sapphire this time around. Yeah, might as well discard Tinker now. That's gone. Okay. Things that I have to think about now. So I could let the first Atraxa enter the battlefield. No, that only works. So if I play one creature out, my opponent oaths, that creature sticks, the second oath fizzles, then I plow, then I get one turn with one creature. That's not a good deal. I'm going to discard Orcish Bowmaster right now. Opponent's still missing land drops over there. Force of Will discarded. Force of Will in my hand now. I guess I just discard another Bowmaster. Okay, you're discarding again. Show and Tell gone. Lorien Revealed. I think I'd like to just draw 3 cards. Yeah, I'm going to have to discard 2 of these, but I was prepared for that possibility. I think it's going to be Force of Negation. I mean, it's definitely a Force of Negation, and Spell Pierce might actually be dope here. I'll discard 2 Force of Negations. Mystical Dispute might be better than Force of Negation, actually. Like, a better thing to discard. Discarded Black Lotus. I drew another Bowmasters. I'll discard that guy. The opponent's still missing on lands. Wasteland, Broken Magic card. Another Force of Negation. I guess I'll discard Mystical Dispute this time and keep the Force of Negation. They're both going to cost 3 mana because of Vexing Bauble, but Negation can get any spell. Tropical Island. Yeah, we're not doing that. And the Swords to Plowshares in my hand, paired with the Wasteland, is really powerful, because if opponent draws a Forbidden Orchard, I could waste it and take out the one spirit that I was given, and that buys me all the time I need until the second Orchard is found. That's why I didn't waste this Trop. I also have a handful of counter magic that's just sort of sitting here. Force of Negation, this Oko. Spell Pierce. Let's keep it going. This is the game now. Another Frog. It is not time to play creatures yet. A third frog is pretty exciting, though. I have blue-black, that's a frog. Blue-black, that's a frog. Blue-black, that's a frog. Blue colorless, that's a time walk. I could triple frog time walk when it's go time. I'll discard a Swords to Plowshares this time around. Ooh. If something happens at the end step, I'll just Spell Pierce it. Oh, he's got the flashback. Oh, he had cut Flash from his list, and he and I we've been working on Oath together and putting the flashback in. So he's probably on the list that I sent him yesterday in real time. Stock up. I'm not going to fight over stock up. I'm down to 1 counter spell. That's a lot of looks at Forbidden Orchard, but I was prepared for this possibility. End step, waste the Orchard. I probably should have wasted in the main phase, then the mana burns off. Now I get cooked by something like Mental Misstep, which I don't need to. Alright, that means I have to untap here. I could have done that better. Alright, Swords to Plowshares, this Spirit token. And pass the turn. Oh, found 2 of them. Come on, Time Walk. Force of Will. Okay, so I can plow one more time to buy another turn against the Oaths, looking for Time Walk. Or I could dump out, but the second Oath is lethal here. Yeah, dumping out doesn't make any sense. Alright, I'm gonna go to my end step and discard Lavinia. Or no, my opponent's gonna float mana in the end step, and I'll plow the creature. That's how I will avoid discarding. Alright, I didn't get misstepped. This is the last turn. Time Walker bust. Second Orchard, third Orchard. Alright, well now Oath is going to trigger multiple times no matter what I do. You have your Time Walk, that's fucked. Counter that. Alright, I'm glad that worked. Okay, what happens here? There's still 5 cards on the bottom of my deck from that dig through time that I don't want. I don't think I'm going to crack Vexing Bauble. I'm going to draw. Wasteland, you're too late, fella. Oh my god, my computer just froze. My day is plagued by misery and tech problems. Just lost a bunch of minutes on my clock. And while my computer was resetting, I realized that dig through time didn't resolve those 18 turns ago. And this whole narrative about I need to not shuffle those 5 bad cards back into my deck is nonsense. I'm in full crash out mode right now. Not gonna lie. Okay. Fetch Tundra. Fetch Underground Sea. I think what I have to do here is play Lavinia to replace Vexing Bauble, cycle off Vexing Bauble, hope that Time Walk is there, cycle off Bauble, Swords to Plowshares, not going to be enough because of the double Oath. I can go Lurrus, Nile Spellbomb, Psychic Frog. His Time Walk's in the graveyard. It's possible that I might be able to like tempo out and deck him. Like if he can't loop the Atraxas forever. Like if Gaia's Blessing gets milled in the graveyard and I can clip Gaia's Blessing, there also might be some number of Atraxas in the hand already. All right, here we go. Atraxa triggers. Gaia's Blessing is there, so that's not going to end up in the graveyard this turn. Another Oath. Vamp Tutor. Yeah, running my opponent out of cards that can win the game is possible here. Though I do have to survive the multiple Atraxas. Right, Ancestral Recall and Beseiju put in the hand. Besejuing this Nile Spellbomb now would be a smart way to get the loop going. Okay, just declining the second Oath trigger. That's interesting. All right, so he's scared. Scared of the Nile Spellbomb. Which means I've got a chance. I should be able to recover the first 10 minutes of this match. Even though the file is certainly corrupted from my computer crashing. Maybe the computer is just reading my energy, and me and it will crash out together. Okay, black mana. Demonic Tutor. That happens. I am allowed to Force of Will now, but my opponent's not. The Time Walk's already there. What are we looking for? Thought Seizing me. Taking the Plow is actually tough. Alright, I'm gonna force the Thought Seize pitching one of these frogs. Okay, I get to keep my Plow. Will that be good enough? Will that do anything at all? Okay. I get a turn. Draw. Oh, Cruise your daddy. I've got some options here. Treasure Cruise. Exiling. A bunch of spells that don't matter. On the hunt for Time Walk. Still no Time Walk. Swords to Plowshares Atraxa. You gain a bunch of life. But I get to bash. Psychic Frog. Come on, big guy. Find that Time Walk. Trigger. Another Plow. Oh my god. Okay. I'm actually going to Spellbomb now, because this is another way to draw a card. This clips the Time Walk now, while I'm not susceptible to Boseiju counterplay. And I'll Spellbomb, replay that from the graveyard using Wasteland. Black Lotus I'm allowed to cast. Psychic Frog. Another one of those. And another one of those. Alright, let's party. Time Walk's gone. Gaia's Blessing is somewhere in the bottom 8 cards of the deck. Gaia's Blessing revealed. I will bomb that out while I can. No more infinite loops. I'm not going to pay a black because I don't have black to pay. Atraxa just revealed the whole deck, which is Oath, Vamp Tutor. Okay, might just actually run him out of cards to even play the game with here. Took Island and Vamp Tutor from that stack. As long as this Plow resolves, we're in business, and Lavinia should allow that to happen. My Time Walk is still in there, too. Just saying. Okay. Demonic Tutor, that's Time Walk. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My opponent can cast Force of Will on Swords to Plowshares and pay for Spell Pierce, but not if I Wasteland first. Do I just Wasteland to do this? I could also Demonic Tutor to find another counterspell to back up the Plow. I think if this Plow resolves, I win. Okay, I'm going to waste you off black. Loaded black. Demonic Tutor. Fire this one in. If I get Force of Will, I can Plow. Flusterstorm beats me there. Do I just take Ancestral Recall to kill my opponent with? That's actually viable. All right, I'm going to take Ancestral. And then we're going to change phases. And then I'm going to Plow Atraxa. Because here the Spell Pierce works. That was the point of the Wasteland. Here's 5 mana for that. I can block this Atraxa for a long time. I think Ancestral decking my opponent is now my primary win con. Though I'm also happy to just tee off in this combat step if I win this combat, or this war, this counter war. Okay, he said I see LOL, and then let it resolve. Oh, yeah, you actually can't even Force a Will because of Lavinia. I didn't see that either. I was playing to the Spell Pierce. Okay, I draw 3 cards. I have to be careful about decking myself, too. Ponder. I don't want any of these cards. Shuffle it. Time Walk, still not interested in being part of this game. Brainstorm. Oh my god. Alright, well. Looks like I won't be Time Walking this game. I don't think I'm going to need to at this point. Sure. How about Orcish Bowmaster join the battle here? Okay, pass. You've got 4 cards. I don't think you have anything left to Oath into. Yep, declining the Oath triggers. I don't think there's a sweeper in the deck. At least I hope there's not. Though, it also doesn't matter. Remember when I thought I lost this game on turn 1 when my opponent had an Oath of Druids? It's turn 28. Fine in those lines. Grind it out. Also me remembering what Lavinia does. That Wasteland play was even better than I thought it was. There's the Boseiju we saw put in hand a million years ago. Is it time to cast the last Atraxa? I think it is. You know, out of Force of Wills. Well, this is going to resolve. You're going to reveal the rest of your deck, which does not win the game. And I'll go ahead and Ancestral you while the getting's good. Bowmaster triggers as well. Extra little insult on that one. All right, I'll play another Bowmasters from my graveyard. And I'm just going to pass the turn. Probably should play my land, but I'm just trying to get the clock back to where it's supposed to be. I can block this Atraxa infinitely, like jump a Psychic Frog, replay that Frog with Lurrus. Okay, a frustrating game to lose several minutes on due to a computer restart, but a really cool game that actually was played. Now Containment Priest comes in, and Seal of Cleansing, and things get easier. Annul. It's fun that I played 29 turns of Magic without finding the single card that I identified as the card I would need to win the game. Turns out, I drew every other card in the deck, and that did what it needed to. Okay, I don't need Basic Island here. I like the counter spells. Orcish Bowmaster is pretty bad. I don't need really any of those. Swords to Plowshares, I'd rather my opponent just doesn't have a creature, but we saw how important Plow can be if they do get one. That is my only out to that scenario. Yeah, I think I'd rather have 0 Bowmasters and 4 Plows than any number of the other way around. A Nile Spellbomb hero. Consigned to Memory can also be used to tempo through an Oath. You can counter the Oath trigger, like play out some frogs, counter the Oath trigger, or bash them, draw with frogs, then do it again. But I only really like that as an option if you have nothing better to do, and I have a lot better to do. Okay, let's go. It's games like that, though, that really sell me on playing these Dimir control decks, the Lurrus control decks. They're just, you just get to do everything, and it feels so good. All right, I'm going to keep this hand. This is basically Island Ponder Keep. Just don't Vexing Bauble me. Okay, are we turn 1? Oh, it's turn 1 Show and Tell. That's so much worse. Oh, stock up. That's fine. That's fine. I accept. Yeah, if opponents Show and Tell here, I probably would have put in Lavinia and then try to cantrip my way to a removal spell. Demonic Tutor is pretty good. I'm going to cast Ponder, because finding a land is more important than changing my hand significantly. Oh, God. I like every one of these cards, but it's not going to work for me. Shuffle, Underground Sea. Definitely didn't just draw that. That wouldn't make any sense. Okay, attack. And holding up Mystical Dispute or the option to Brainstorm here. Sounds better than Nile Spellbomb. Okay. It's one of those stock up, didn't find the follow-up moments. There's a lot to think about here. Taking out the Trop means that if my opponent wants the colors of mana he actually wants to play with, then he has to use Forbidden Orchard to do it. There's probably some Abrupt Decays and stuff in the deck at this point. I am going to Wasteland Trop and make this hurt. I floated a blue. Is that going to do anything? No. All right. Attack with Spirit Token. And I think I want to just develop Psychic Frog now. This is the best card I have. My opponent clearly doesn't have Oath. Brainstorm. Looking for the emergency. And I'm pretty scared of Show and Tell right now. I don't have a good plan for that because I haven't been able to develop mana for the Mystical Dispute. Uh-oh. Well, I'm probably getting Show and Told here. Mox Emerald. Oath. Oh no, do you have the Time Walk already? Oh no, it doesn't have the Time Walk. Okay. So I do get a turn to develop. Right, Frog is going to attack first. I don't have a Grafdigger's Cage. That would... I do have the mana to DT for Cage. I guess I have to DT for Lotus here and use it to play Seal of Cleansing. Oh, I can even back that up with Mystical Dispute. That's so good. All right. Demonic Tutor. Don't Flusterstorm me. No! All right, well, there's Flusterstorm. I guess now I Brainstorm and try to find Black Lotus the old-fashioned way. So close. Okay. I don't need another Frog. And the Nile Spellbomb might be important, but I think the Fetch is more important. All right. Well, this is going to happen. And missing that land drop on turn 2 just probably cost me this game. Okay, Atraxa revealed a bunch of stuff. Kept Misty Rainforest, Thoughtseize, and Atraxa. I think I'm actually just gonna, in the interest of time, like I don't think I'm quite dead here, but I think I'm better suited if I just start the next game on the play. Yeah, that one was close. Let's go. Same cards. Okay, this is a turn 1 Lavinia plus Time Walk. Is that even good? I don't think it is. I have better cards than that. There they are. Okay, I'll keep this hand. This Dig Through Time is, I think, a later problem. Mox Sapphire, Looted Delta, Pass, Ancestral in their upkeep. Good chance that Force Negation has been boarded out at this point anyway, but I'll still play around it. Ugh, you sicko. You sicko. The Mental Misstep too good. Spell Pierce it. I wanted that to cost them 2 cards, though. All right, we're back. My own misstep. Who could have seen this coming? Tapped Hedge Maze, I like that. That's good news for this Wasteland in my hand. Mana Crypt. That's good news for the Seal of Cleansing in my hand. Okay, I'm going to play Seal of Cleansing first. And I'm just donking all this mana out of here. Saving the Seal for Oath, I could understand the argument for that, but I can slow this game down, play to the Lurrus. Brainstorm. So my opponent, what just happened here? Like, I want to misstep this Brainstorm, but I've already passed priority. What happened is my opponent announced Brainstorm from their hand and then tapped Forbidden Orchard, resulting in the Orchard trigger being under the Brainstorm, where I thought he tapped for blue, put this trigger on the stack, and then cast Brainstorm. Like, I was trying to pass priority on the Forbidden Orchard trigger, and the Brainstorm ended up just resolving. Great. Black Lotus. And, yeah, that's one of those things that doesn't happen in real life. All right, well, that's the best card I could have. Attack with Spirit. Okay, we're back in business. I have Containment Priest backed by Spell Pierce. Opponent's gonna have Abrupt Decays in the deck here. Oath of Druids. That resolves, unfortunately. All right, please don't have Abrupt Decay. All I can do is fire this Priest out here. Vexing Bauble. I don't think that helps me much. Attack. Okay, damage was done. Opponent could have Abrupt Decayed before this point and didn't. Right, I'm going to cycle for an Underground Sea. Just build my mana up. All right, don't have Abrupt Decay. Pass the turn. Oath trigger. Cool. Doesn't have it. Now I can try to get Lurrus in the mix. Null. A little late for that one. All right, I bought my Lurrus. Pass. Still floundering over there. Black Lotus, which I can't cast because of Vexing Bauble, but I could sack the Vexing Bauble to cast Lotus, which gets Lurrus in even harder. All right, yeah, I'll do that. Bauble's gone. Oh, perfect. Bauble's gone just in time for me to cast this probe for free. Show and Tell, Tinker, Vamp Tutor, Flusterstorm. Okay. None of those cards stop my cards. Lurrus. Replay Vexing Bauble. Okay. Pass the turn. I'm feeling good. I've got 6 damage on the board. If he fetches, I have 7, or he's at 7. If he fetches and taps this, that he's at 7 and I have 7 power in play. And this Vamp Tutor is not going to go anywhere. Or Vamp Tutor for Abrupt Decay is the out here, but I'll just Spell Pierce the Vamp Tutor. Okay, not going for it. I think that's gotta be a mistake. Like, you have Vamp Tutor. If Abrupt Decay is in your deck, this is your one shot to make it happen. Like, what are you looking for to help here? We got the GGs. Okay. That was a stressful game with the misclicks and the log outs and the clock ticking down. But those were really good games, and that game 1 especially showed what can happen if you just kind of play right and know what your outs are versus knowing what your opponent's deck's weaknesses are. The Nile Spellbomb clipping, the Time Walk, and the Gaia's Blessing, and literally decking my opponent. That was actually pretty awesome. I didn't think the game was going to go like that when he resolved that Oath. A strong, strong endorsement for playing Esper Lurrus if you can do stuff like that into matchups that are that bad. On to the final round.
The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables.
I'm on the draw in the final round. I've lost track of the record. I think I'm 2-1 in matches played. Positive record on the line. I have a legacy hand, but I think that's okay. I'm going to keep. I have the waste if they're bizarre. I have the force if there's some kind of send it deck. And those are the 2 types of decks that don't play Lurrus. I'm all to 6. Ancient Tomb. What are we doing with that? Null Rod. Resolves. Slam it into play. Okay, this is probably some kind of Sphere Shops then. And against Sphere Shops, I would really like to have Psychic Frog in play. I'm going to hold this Wasteland because if I start wasting them once Frog is down, life gets so much better. Yeah, you wasteland me. I'll float a white, make you think about Swords to Plowshares. I'm not casting Brainstorm anyway. And I let on Tundra in case there was wasteland, because the black is more important to me. A third force. Okay. Now if my opponent has another wasteland, I'll be pretty bummed out, but I still think playing to the upside of drawing a blue source and getting Frog down is the right way to do this. And if they waste me again, then I'll just waste them and we can play Idiot Magic for a while. Urza's Saga, okay. I would rather wasteland that than the Ancient Tomb. Sphere of Resistance. Not a card I particularly want to play against. I'm going to force pitching Brainstorm on that one. All right, big draws. Let's go. Spell Pierce. Okay, I have the Wasteland. I'm going to take out Urza Saga. I would rather take out Ancient Tomb if I was sure they didn't have another Ancient Tomb in hand, but I'm not sure of that. I have no information at all about that. Soul Ring, that can resolve. Nice Null Rod. Slayerian Academy. That makes sense why you'd want to play Soul Ring. Scrawly Crawly. So if I draw a land, Bowmaster actually just kills this thing. Alright, I'll force pitching Spell Pierce. Okay, glad I didn't let Scrawly Crawly stick around. Kind of running out of game to play, though. The Runway. My opponent's got, what, 2 cards in their hand. Ancient Tomb. Sphere of Resistance. Alright, well, I'm going to force pitching Force and hope that I find the land. Psychic Frog is just so much better than holding up Force of Will against anything. Oh my god. Are we in? Okay. I need my opponent to brick 1 draw step. Just draw something that doesn't answer Psychic Frog, and we can get along just fine. Draw a Mox. Draw Black Lotus. Draw Ancient Tomb. Stop tapping mana. Stop! Stop it! No! No! You drew fucking Stonecoil Serpent? Is that what's happening right now? Golos, that's even worse. Oh my god. No, that's not worse than the other guy, but it is still pretty bad. Yeah, that was the turn that I needed. Just a little bit of time to breathe. Didn't get it. The Golos could get something like Inventor's Fair, could get Bajuka Bog so my frog can't jump. Yeah, there's that one. That is kind of, I don't want to say short-sighted, but definitely like compared to an Inventor's Fair or even a Wasteland, like I could just put more stuff in my graveyard. It's in my range. Obviously, it's not going to happen right now, because why would I draw a useful card, ever? Alright, opponent's still in top deck mode. We both are there. They're still tapping a bunch of mana for stuff. Yeah, why not? Why not? Why not? Yeah, 7? Now you draw the Stonecoil Serpent. This is fucking outrageous. Ay, ay, ay. Why don't you draw a Mox? The deck is, like, mostly mana over there. Where is it? Okay, Stonecoil Serpent, actual nightmare. I don't have white for Swords to Plowshares or Swords to Plowshares. Both of those cards not present. Opponent is at 6, though, and 5. Like, is it possible to tempo this out? All right, so I attack here, put you to 3. My frog dies. I play a new frog. All right, I guess just hucking shit at the wall here is my out. I just have to win this race somehow, even though it seems unlikely. Opponent's at 3. Fresh Psychic Frog. All right, another Bowmaster, actually. Might get something going here. But now Academy taps for 4. Yeah, all right, Afraid to Attack. That's what I need. I need some room to operate. Some time to breathe. Another Bowmaster. That is not quite enough yet. If I attack... Oh, okay, hold on. If I attack with both of these, Bowmaster is actually lethal if they block. If they don't block Orc Army, they die. What happens next turn? I can have them at 2 and attack with 4 attackers. That's a better way to do this. Then there's no gambling, no betting on them playing wrong. It's just my attack works if they have nothing. Full stop. Okay, Orcish Bowmaster. Put you to 2. Attack for 4. Okay, I mean, if my opponent had just cast the Stonecoil Serpent for like 3, I think they win this game. Oh, sick. You're dead. I can Ancestral my opponent if they have any tricks in combat, but if they don't have tricks in combat, they're dead anyway. What a crazy game. Yeah, I think they flew too close to the sun. This was theirs to win. All right. Crash out averted. Though my opponent won that top deck war. They just didn't win the playing Magic war. A Seal of Cleansing, Consign, and Annul, all slam dunks here. Fatal Push is another answer to Stonecoil Serpent. There are only 4 of those in the deck, though, and I have Plow's Forces, Seal of Cleansing, and now Annul and Consign. I don't know that I need all that. Mental Misstep really only counters Soul Ring in their whole deck. Nile Spellbomb. That could mess up a Crucible of Worlds situation, but it's a pretty low impact card, all in all. Mystical Dispute, unlikely to counter very many spells in their deck. I don't really care what's in their hand with Gitaxian Probe. Vexing Bauble actually seems terrible. Or, yeah, if no mana was spent to cast it, not if... It's not Void Mirror, it's Lavinia. Got it. So I had to remind myself real quick what I'm dealing with. I like the Spell Pierces a lot. I like everything that's a mana source. I like the forces. I don't have a Flusterstorm or anything like that. Yeah, I guess a Fatal Push is probably better than a Gitaxian Probe. This is all diminishing my blue count, but my blue count's good. It's okay. My opponent's probably going to board out those Null Rods from the main deck. And even if they don't, my mana is just too important. Okay, on the draw, and I know what I'm up against this time. Deep breaths. Recover. I'm not even that enraged by the game or my opponent's good draws or anything. I'm just like super flustered from the day that I've had. Okay, Force of Will, no blue card. 5 lands. I don't think this is going to be a hand I keep. I like this one a bit more. It still has problems. I'm going to keep it and put one of these Bowmasters to the bottom. Opponent kept 7. Black Lotus. Good card. Inventor's Fair. Okay, that was in the deck. Mana Vault. Where's that Null Rod this game? If they go in here on like a Stonecoil or a Golos, I just get to cook it. Like Razormane Masticore, same story. That's not the name of that card. The whatever the Masticore is. Argentum? Is that the one that gets played in Vintage? All the Masticores blur together. Chalice on 0. That's basically Null Rod against my deck. Same shit. Crucible of Worlds. Well, I can't counter that, which is a shame because this double Wasteland start, that was part of the appeal, was hoping my opponent just kind of floundered and didn't do anything. Psychic Frog, that's my guy. They have the infinite loop here of lose a life, gain a life off of Inventor's Fair and Mana Vault. You could tap it forever. A Wasteland. That's a good card with Crucible of Worlds. I'm looking for Psychic Frog to go coast to coast here. 5 mana. Here's Golos. Petrified Hamlet is kind of cool. Like if they grab that, I have to fetch in response to the trigger. I don't think that's a good play, but it was available. Urza Saga looks a lot better. Come on, source for Psychic Frog. We didn't get there. Now I just kind of have to tempo through the Crucible of Worlds. Yeah, I have to take out Urza Saga. This game's not going anywhere with that card going. The gain a life, lose a life combo in full effect. Workshop from hand rather than the Saga from the graveyard. It's a little scary. Nettle Cyst. I don't think I care to Spell Pierce that. Opponent is Hellbent over there. If I can draw the mana for Psychic Frog, it is going to be in play and it's going to be big. Life is Bane. Okay, this is an attack for 8. Still not quite dead. They could Wasteland my Wasteland. With the Crucible in play, they'll eventually get that card back, but that does let me rip off their Workshop on the same turn. They could also Wasteland my Delta and then replay Wasteland. Yeah, that's the play. All right, well, I'll get a Tundra here. I'm going to have to plow one of these things now. This re-equips for 2. All right, well, I guess I'll plow. So if I plow Golos, yeah, okay. Plowing Golos looks better because that will shrink the germ down. I take 1 less damage this turn, but I don't take 7 or 8 for the rest of the game. And now I think I'm about cooked. They got me in the Wasteland squeeze. I'd have to draw 2 fetch lands in a row. The Chalice means that demonic for... There's not really things to demonic for. I guess I'd be demonicking for like a fetch land to try to set up Frog for 2 turns from now. All right, sure. I will commit myself to that embarrassing play pattern. And that Nile Spellbomb that I didn't end up bringing in, or that I cut and didn't bring back, actually would be a decent Demonic Tutor target here. Really what I needed to happen was Crucible of Worlds to not resolve, but my hand didn't have any counterspells in it. There's Wasteland, spell. I can't beat that. Force it. This 4/4 might be enough to kill me at this point, even if I do draw the mana source. Another frog. What would be great is if they play a land that isn't Wasteland here. Like if they switch to play the Urza Saga, which does grow Nettlesys because it counts artifacts and enchantments. And then that gives me a turn to develop Bowmaster that could jump for a little while. Like if they back off this Wasteland squeeze, that gives me a window. I do also have a basic island I could fetch, but I don't think I'm winning a game where I do that. Second Nettlesys, disgusting. All right. So if they tap the Wasteland to equip Nettlesys to try to win right now, that gives me the same window to play Bowmaster, buy some chump time. Okay, they're not doing that either. You got it. I have no outs from here. All right, now we just do the same thing on the play where everything's easier. Man, Nile Spellbomb. I called it out, and I called out the situations it would be useful in, and that ended up being exactly how I lost the game. Pithing Needle naming Wasteland is another way to counterplay that type of game as well. And with the Nettlesys, I think I do want this Fatal Push. I could cut Pearl. I don't think I'll miss that one. Just play the on-theme ones. And then Pithing Needle and Nile Spellbomb, both kind of interesting fringe utility for both. Wasteland is part of my plan as well, but it's like really, really their plan. And it's only kind of something I'm into. I currently have 0 Lurrusable cantrip permanents because I boarded out the Vexing Bauble and the Nile Spellbomb. And if my Urza Saga pops, I can only get my Mox in. All right, that Nile Spellbomb, where do I bring that? Bowmaster actually does block really well in this matchup, and as we saw game 1, that damage that can actually line up and do something. Lavinia is okay if I have her early. Maybe I go to 1 Lavinia. Okay, 1 Lavinia, keep my Bowmasters. Okay, a very good hand. I'm going to keep it, obviously. Then I just got to decide what I'm going to do with it. I could Ancestral and see where things land. I could turn 1 Psychic Frog go. Psychic Frog with Time Walk behind it is pretty nice. I can't play turn 1 Lavinia because I don't have white. I could get white, but I can't have blue and white. Well, this might be a fetch basic island scenario. Basic island Moxjet casts Frog, and I can't get wastelanded. Yeah, I think I'm just going turn 1 Frog. And I'm entirely prepared to discard my hand to beat Dismember. Okay, Psychic Frog on the battlefield. I would love it if they just play like turn 1 Sphere of Resistance and pass here, or even Trinisphere I can beat up on. Okay, strip mining me, alright. Is there more? Mox Emerald. How much more? Mox Sapphire. Mana Vault. Oh, there might be a lot more. Scrawly Crawly. Oh, that's frustrating. But okay. And I'll just attack straight into that thing. I could fetch jump. What am I playing around? I'm playing around Dismember. Right, I'm just going to attack. I don't think they're going to block. No block. Frog is in, doing his thing. A Null is a nice find. I think I'm going to Time Walk here. Strip Mine. Okay, another attack with Frog. Another day, another Frog fight. Didn't block last turn. They're not going to start now. Wasteland. Don't want that. I guess I'll play out my Wasteland and pass the turn. Okay, we both draw cards here. Bowmaster is nice. Okay. Now I got an answer to Crawler. Mox Jet. Not going to annul that. Ancient Tomb. 5 mana. Slamming the button on it. Stone Coil Serp. I'm going to annul that. No thanks. Please attack into my Orcish Bowmaster. I think if that happens, I win the game on the spot. Let's go. Couldn't resist the damage. 1 to this. Block with Orc Army. And this play is actually... Like, if my opponent's paying attention, they'll know that I drew that Orcish Bowmaster off of their Scrawling Crawler trigger, because any other time I would have just killed the Crawler already. And do you think my opponent will cast very many spells this game if they have 0 lands under Lavinia? What do we think, chat? Is that a likely successful battlefield for them? They could still cast creatures. which they do have a number of. Force of Will, okay. It would stink to lose Ancestral Recall here, but if my opponent casts a spell that beats me through the Lavinia on 0 lands, then we gotta do what we gotta do. Versus Saga. They can now cast 1-drops. But your boy is rolled up on Wastelands over here. It's not a problem I'm having. And there's a good blue card to back up Force of Will. Attack, Frog, Food, Wasteland. I'm going to waste in their upkeep, so I have Revolt for their turn cycle if they do draw one of their creatures. Yeah, they could use this mana here to untap Mana Vault, but yeah, give me a whole turn like that. I have lethal damage here. Like, I could Ancestral myself and discard a bunch of stuff to make Frog huge. I could target them with Ancestral after combat damage. There's a million ways I've got it covered here. Might have even had it last turn. I did not do the math. Not gonna lie. Okay, they've had enough. Positive record, 3-1 in matches that I actually got to play. And the loss was, I don't want to say riddled with mistakes, but riddled with decisions that I could have made differently that would have resulted in a different outcome. I gotta say, I'm impressed. Grinding through that Oath League, that game 1 against Oath might have just convinced me by itself to play Esper Lurrus for NYSE. Like, that same game with all the same tools available, except as Dimir Lurrus, I don't win because I had to Swords to Plowshares a bunch of Atraxas to get to that point where Fatal Push just doesn't do it. If I had a Seal of Removal or Momentum Breaker, like, I guess we could imagine a world where Lurrus is looping and doing what it needs to do, but Swords to Plowshares being a non-creature thing that doesn't require Lurrus to stick around to make that happen, that did give me a lot of breathing room in that game. Beating Dredge, especially game 1, taking game 1 against Dredge feels amazing. The match that died that nobody got to see, I think it was against Combo Lurrus. We didn't play enough turns for me to be 100% confident, but I had a turn 1 Vexing Bauble on the play, and then I was about to add Lavinia. And if true, that would have been a great Lavinia game. We didn't really have great Lavinia games. I played one matchup where Lavinia was really important, and that's the one I lost. My Oath opponent did also force a Lavinia because they had a hand with multiple Moxen in it. Yeah, this card's nice, and I think I'm into it. The Containment Priest I love. I mean, this reasons to be white are primarily sideboard cards, and then Swords to Plowshares is a slight upgrade over Fatal Push. There's some matchups where it's the same card, some matchups where it's worse, some matchups where it's better. It's generally better, though. And then Lavinia is a tool you can choose to put in your deck. You also get to play Stony Silence over Null Rod, which I have long been of the opinion that it doesn't matter that much whether you play the artifact or the enchantment version. Many years ago, I lost a match of Vintage in the Vintage Super League, back when that was the thing Randy Bueller used to run. I lost a game because I had Stony Silence in my hand, and I had, like, Wasteland Black Mox or something that couldn't cast the Stony, but I would have won if it was Null Rod. And for a long time, I felt that was in Null Rod matchups, you want Null Rod so soon and so reliably that it isn't worth the squeeze to make sure you have the correct color of mana to cast your Null Rod. However, Flame of Anor by itself changed that. Like, Flame of Anor just being a main deck 2 or 3 of in a bunch of the Null Rod decks. And then, of course, there's a Braid that's been around forever, and Hurkyl's Recall, those sort of things that could interact with an artifact, but not with an enchantment. It's really Flame of Anor that put it over the line for me, and I do think Stony Silence is worth the stretch if you have white mana in your deck. Yeah, this felt great, even with all the horrible life things. I think every single round of this league was plagued by some sort of inconvenience or a catastrophic failure of things outside of the game entirely. But even all that aside, I still feel really good right now about the deck and about the league. And that's got to be worth something. Strong contender for NYSE. This just took the lead position in what I'm considering. I'm going to leave this one here. I'm probably going to play a few more Vintage leagues preparing for NYSE. Going to be a lot of Vintage on the channel this week and next week. And then we'll go back to our regular Legacy-centric programming. But right now, I'm trying to lock in. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out the Patreon to support the channel. I'll see you next time.